we should all reflect on it. And I highly recommend, ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't read the Declaration of Independence, please do me a favor. Sit down with your children and read it and explain it to them to the best of your ability. Pretty obvious what's going on there. If you've never read it, or if it's been a long time since you've read it, sit down and read it. Tell me if you didn't find it, you don't find it striking, the striking similarities that that's going on in this country today. It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing, the feeling I got when I read it. And, excuse me, the realization that came with that, oh my God. After 238 years. 238 years. And here we are again. Here we are again, being, quite frankly, being slapped by a tyrannical government. It's not a monarchy, only this time it's not, across the pond. This time, it's from our own government. But it really doesn't matter. I see no difference. And don't get me wrong, ladies and gentlemen, I'm ex-military. And there was a time when I had a naive, which is why I play that song a lot, Fortunate Son. I had a naive belief in our government. Over the years. And really, watching history unfold, the historian that I am, I don't know when it happened, but someday I woke up and realized that, nothing great about the American government. The American government is not great, and it never has been, with the exception of the first few years of our existence. Don't ask me when. Now, don't get me wrong. There have been great men. In the American government. From time to time. Ronald Reagan. Abraham Lincoln. Quite a few, actually. I'm not going to sit here and ramble them all off. Those are two of my favorites. There have been great men in the government, but the American government has never been great, ever. Maybe the day it was born, maybe. The corruption, began almost immediately. It was only great men that slowed it down. And our founders knew this. Governments are inherently evil. Why? Because they're filled with power trippers. Because like a magnet, power draws people like a magnet. And it mostly draws the wrong people. There are rare occasions in history, where it draws great men. But you can tell them. You can tell that what they do is for we the people and not for we themselves. They themselves. And I submit to you, ladies and gentlemen, our government has become inherently evil. I submit to you, ladies and gentlemen, there's not a dime's worth of difference between King George and King Obama. Make no mistake, he thinks he's a king. And what struck me this morning as I sat by the campfire reading the Declaration of Independence, what struck me, as I digress, is here we are again. Here we are again. Being held down, held back, being taxed, taxation without representation. I don't care what kind of government you think we have. We do not have taxation with representation anymore. Probably haven't had it for quite some time, but I can damn sure tell you today we do not. Everything that was true about King George is now true about King Obama and King Hillary, or King George, HW, that is. I don't want to hear, if you're a big George Bush fan, don't get me wrong. I do like the guy. I think he's 100 times the president. He's got more honor in his little finger than this president has in his entire life. But at the same time, there's not that much difference in George Bush and Barack Obama. Massive government growth. Refused to secure the border. Remember, the Republicans had all three, had both houses of government, the executive and legislative branch. They had the House, the Senate, and the White House. Still didn't shut down the border. If you're a big, huge George W. Bush fan, why don't you think about that? Why don't you chew on that for a minute? Sure, George Bush was a patriot. George Bush loved his country, but he didn't really understand, like most politicians nowadays, and like myself a few years ago, don't get me wrong, doesn't understand what it means to be an American. Because he failed us in many areas. There's not a dime's worth of difference between our system of government now and our system of government then under King George. We just have a different King George every 4 years or 8 years. It's become the same system. Ruling elites telling us what kind of light bulbs we can use, what kind of toasters we can buy, what kind of cars we can drive, what kind of food we can eat, what we can and can't eat, what we can't smoke, where we can smoke it, meaning cigarettes. I know you dopers got excited there, but no, I'm not talking to you. I couldn't care less. One of the things I'm grateful for, the election of Barack Obama, it forced me 180 degrees. One of the things I'm grateful, and I'm sure my sobriety played a big role in it, had to have. One of the things I'm grateful for, that when I turned around and ran 180 degrees from the Democrat Party, I bumped into the Republicans. Hi, how you doing? Good seeing you. I kind of like you guys. No, wait a minute. No. You're going the same direction he is. And I ran headlong into the Constitution like a brick wall. In some ways, I'm grateful for the election of Barack Obama because it forced me back to my roots. Not my personal roots, but my national roots. It forced me. For me, it was like the Constitution was a magnet. When I ran from everything I'd believed in, I ran right smack into the Constitution like a brick wall, and it knocked me on my you-know-what. And after I picked myself up and brushed myself off, I said, hey, that wasn't so bad. Yeah. Liberty can be painful. Freedom can be painful. Requires discipline, sacrifice. Requires compassion and common sense. Requires an understanding of who we are and where we came from. And I have to admit, ladies and gentlemen, that I'm ashamed. I'm ashamed to be an American. Not because of anything I've done. But because of what we've all done. Taken the most precious gift that we've ever been given and squandered it. It's not the first time. I've done that in my personal life too. God gave me an abundance of talent, and for the most part, for most of my life, I've squandered it. Gave me an unbelievable work ethic. And several different times, I squandered that too and walked off down the street with a, garbage bag full of clothes. The United States of America was the greatest nation on the face of the earth. It was the greatest gift that God ever gave mankind, shy of his only begotten Son. But I submit to you, in our founding fathers, that they were inspired by God the Father. They were inspired by his only begotten Son to create the freest form of government that mankind has ever known. And they rose to the occasion, our founding fathers. They rose to the occasion, made the sacrifices, used the discipline and the common sense. Sacrificed, their time, talent, and treasures so that future generations could be free. And like the buckets of water in the fire brigade, it's been handed down to us. I don't know what we're doing. We're filling a swimming pool, or, I don't know what we're doing with it. We're sure not cherishing it. We're sure not passing it on to the next generation. You mark my words, if